Only three things in life are certain: death, taxes, and Pepe Reina conceding a goal in his near post. This is Lazio Lounge, your Lazio podcast. Hello, Laziali all over the world. Welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. Plenty of things to talk about. We have to talk about Lazio Genoa, 4-3 victory, and as we can see, not only about that, but also about the results of the team fighting with Lazio for the Champions League, because there have been some surprise results this weekend, right? Because we were fighting against Juventus and Milan. They both won, but Atalanta and Napoli surprisingly dropped points. So it has been a crazy weekend. And, as usual, Lazio wanted to join the party. 4-1, dominating match, and then in the last 20 minutes, nightmares.
It was ridiculous, wasn't it? It's just that no matter how many times we see this happening, I still fall into the same trap of believing that this time is different. This time we're actually going to have a nice, comfortable afternoon. We're going to be able to be full of compliments for the team. And it was even more spectacular this time, I would say, than the Benevento game, because they conceded the 2 goals, I think, in the space of 1 minute this time. And I think that the difference in performance was greater, as in I think Lazio dominated the game against Genoa more than they dominated the game against Benevento, so it was even more ridiculous to end up in that position. But I don't know, it's mentality. Do we have to be worried about that again? It's the same old question, but it's just strange when it comes straight after hammering AC Milan 3-0.
Yeah, and probably was the best 70 minutes of the season. Tucu Correa scoring twice, Ciro Immobile, Milinkovic Savic, Luis Alberto playing great, another assist from Luis Alberto, Lazzari, and so on. I mean, it was a very convincing performance, not only Lazio, but let's not forget to mention that beginning of second half, Genoa scored immediately, is 2-1, and, you could start to think, wow, they still have 45 minutes, they can easily draw, and straight afterwards, Lazio scored the third goal, and the match looked over. Instead, it's never over with us.
Yeah, and I feel a bit guilty now because I actually tweeted at halftime, that Lazio have been playing brilliantly, 2-0 up at the time and cruising one of the best performances of the season. But Genoa had that chance right at the end of the half that Pepe Reina saved. And then I just thought, you can never rule anything out with this team. But you're right. I think that was a crucial moment. When Lazio got the 4th goal so soon after Genoa pulled one back, I did fall into the trap then of thinking, okay, we're fine. Today is different. But no, clumsy from Danilo Cataldi to concede the penalty. I don't think he did particularly well after he came on. And then I think the whole team has to take a bit of blame for then conceding from open play so soon after that. But as you said in your latest comedy intro, Pepe Reina at his near post again. It's something you've been talking about for a while. And yeah, I'm with you this time. I think that one, not his best moment.
Well, thank you, because you do not appreciate all my work preparing this intro. But if you go and watch again, you see that Reina already dives before the player shot. So it's even easier, right? Because he already moves. So, this is the goal. Go on, score. It's becoming a problem, a big problem for me. We talked about this plenty, so I don't want to go back on this. But we were concerned because Hurt started instead of Acerbi. We know how important Acerbi is. Lazio defense has been struggling all season long. But against Genoa, it was different. The first goal, I thought Lulic was a little bit too soft. And again, Reina could have gone out and anticipate the attacker. The second one, it's a clumsy foul from Cataldi. The third one is a mistake of Reina. I don't blame the defense or Hurt for these 3 goals. I thought these are singular mistakes. So, yeah, it's strange in a certain matters thinking about 3 mistakes like that in a single match.
Lovely finish from Adam Maricic, though, wasn't it? The way he kind of controlled that on the instep, beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that frustrates me with it is that for two of the goals for sure are entirely about concentration, because it is a mentality question when things like this happen, because the second half has just started, you're 2-0 up. You can't be kind of yawning and stretching your way back into the game at 2-0, ever. And that goal is conceded. Yes, there are differing factors as to how it ends up in the net, but you're still allowing a goal to end up in the net after about a minute and a half of the second half starting. That is just not good enough. You need to be switched on immediately. And again, like I've already said, if you're going to concede the second one through a penalty, that's the time to group together. That's the time to get everyone switched on to make sure that 2-goal lead stays a 2-goal lead. And Shomurodov, regardless of Reina, he shouldn't be ending up in that much space with the ball being pinged to him in the first place. And that, again, is a concentration error. It's how are you allowing them to end up in these positions within a minute of conceding a goal, within a minute of the second half starting? I don't know, sometimes it feels like it's a lack of leadership. I'm not sure what it is. It just feels like there has to be someone there, or a few players there kind of getting that message across.
And one thing I think had a huge impact. Normally, the players that come in have a very positive impact on the match. Obviously, we're thinking about Caicedo, but even Pereira, when he comes in, usually he's good. Akpa Pro. I thought this time the impact was terrible. Now, apart from Cataldi conceding the penalty, but Akpa Pro and Parolo pretty much didn't do nothing. Pereira, I thought he came in to waste some time. Instead, it was like he was trying to score every time he had the chance instead of wasting time. So probably this is the first time where the substitution, instead of helping Lazio getting the 3 points, didn't provide the help everybody was hoping for.
Yeah, I felt a bit divided on the substitutes though as well, because it got to a point at 4-1 when I think there's about 15 minutes left, where I kind of made a note saying, surely at this stage we can rest some of these players. We still have Alberto, Milinkovic, Ciro, and Correa all on the pitch at 4-1 up. But I end up looking like an idiot. Thankfully, I didn't make that public. Not this time, anyway. But yeah, I mean, look, it obviously frustrating things, but let's not be negative about what was in the end an 11th consecutive home win, which is a new club record now. I mean, that's an amazing run, considering there are no fans in the stadium to help these guys. I think that makes it even more impressive, or perhaps we should be thinking, imagine how good they'd be at home if there were fans as well.
Yeah. Well, to be true, last year when the fans was at the Olimpico, Lazio was impressive at home. So, and we said it. Do you remember? After the season restarted without the fans, Lazio was struggling at home. So I thought that had a huge impact. Before moving on the positive things, going back to the substitution, I thought bringing in at the same time Parolo and Akpa Pro didn't help. You already had in Cataldi. I thought you could bring in Murici and maybe take off Ciro and play long ball and hope that Murici will keep the ball and make the team move up a little bit. And Parolo and Akpa are two similar players in many different ways. So I didn't understand that move, honestly, with you, and I thought that didn't help the team as well.
Well, one of the questions we got was from Kiki Adi Saputra, who said, why does Inzaghi always force to make 5 subs when we still need the key players to secure a win? Yeah, I mean, I guess having the 5 subs, maybe because it's still pretty new for a coach, when you feel like you need a change of momentum in a game, or when you feel like the players' heads have maybe gone a little bit, perhaps that's something to do with it. Maybe you want to Marco Parolo on the pitch because of his experience, because he's Marco Parolo, the man who can do everything. So, I mean, I'm kind of glad, to be honest, what you're saying about Morici. I'm kind of glad they didn't do that because I felt like Lazio had been on top this entire match. These goals had come almost out of the blue. Genoa, unlike the Benevento game, Genoa hadn't really got into this position through constantly pressing and knocking on Lazio's door and starting to build momentum. It just kind of happens as a shot from the dark, basically. So I felt like Lazio, to actually see out the game, control it, needed to actually just start doing what they had been doing for the previous 70 minutes. And in the end, I think they did. I was quite happy with the way they played out the final 10 minutes, to be honest. And they do deserve credit for that, right? I mean, it's easy to be very negative about the Benevento and Genoa games because they've had these blackout moments. But unlike previous blackouts, they've still won the game. So yes, they've messed up, but they got there in the end,
Yeah, and obviously we were nervous because you conceded 2 goals in like 1 minute. But if you go and watch the last 10 minutes, they didn't have a shot on target. Reina didn't do nothing in the last 10 minutes. Obviously, we were concerned because, just a goal and it would be 1 point instead of 3. But Genoa didn't create nothing, didn't have a chance after that. So that's definitely the positive and the negative moment of the team, if you allow me to say that. Now, can we move to the positive things now? I think we do, right? Do you think that Beppe Signori is in to Cucurrea's body?
I don't know what's come over the guy. Yeah, maybe there is some sort of spiritual soul swapping happening. I mean, that would make a good movie if you want to write the screenplay. No, I mean, it's amazing, like I tweeted yesterday, that with having 2 goals in both of his last 2 games, he's now scored as many goals in those 2 games as he has in the rest of the season in Serie A, which is amazing, really. And again, probably could have had even more yesterday. Like everyone feels like they probably could have had more goals yesterday, but yeah, it's making a big difference when he steps up. I mean, where was the question? Hang on 1 second. Yeah, I mean, here it is. Darren L said, before the last couple of weeks, we struggled to even put 1 goal past any team. Now we're scoring at least 2 per game, 12 in the last 4. So what's changed? And I guess it is just that, isn't it, Vittorio? It's simply the fact that the guys we rely on to score goals have either returned to form, like Ciro Immobile, or have hit top form, like Joaquin Correa.
Well, something changed. We did an intro, so I'm not taking credit for that. Maybe someone else would, but I think definitely that helped. Definitely. Maybe Alistair, the question is: did our top 4 players reach the peak too late, or is it the right time? Because Luis Alberto, Milinkovic-Savic, Ciro Immobile, Correa—they're all playing great. Is it too late though? Or is it the perfect moment?
No, it's not too late yet. I mean, we wish they'd been like this in the Napoli game, I guess, which would have made it even more tight. But look, I think it is a great time of the season to be hitting this form because, like you mentioned right at the start, then this weekend, I mean, wow, Sassuolo getting the draw against Atalanta. I don't think either of us saw that coming, or Napoli Cagliari. We were both comfortably saying last week that we thought both of those teams will easily get top 4. Juventus beat Udinese, but I don't know if you saw that game. They were terrible. They were so bad, and needed 2 goals in the last 8 minutes from Ronaldo to get that win. I mean, Roma aren't even in the discussion anymore. So yeah, I mean, I think it is a good time. Obviously, they do still have work to do here. It's not in Lazio's hands. They basically need to just keep doing what they're doing. And obviously, like we spoke about last time, it's annoying that the game in hand doesn't come until, just before the final weekend, because we're never really going to know where we are until that game has been played.
Yeah, the Juventus game was simply unbelievable. A couple of Lazio fans tweeted, now we know where the Paul will play next season, because the penalty allowed was really unbelievable. I don't know if it's a joke or someone really believes that the Paul sold the match. Obviously, it's not possible, but that's an incredible mistake. And if you didn't see the match, Udinese wasted so many chances before, and Juventus was really, really terrible. Really, really terrible. And, Alice, I don't know if you was checking the table, but with Udinese winning Champions League, the fourth place was just 3 points from Lazio. Now it's back to 5. So, just beating Torino, we will be there. So the positive thing is that with Atalanta and Napoli drawing, now the second place is at 5 points from us. So that's simply unbelievable. I didn't expect Napoli to drop points against Cagliari at home, neither Atalanta. But what I saw in the last matches of Atalanta is that they're still terrific when they're attacking, but they concede too many chances to the opponent team in defense. We saw it not only against Sassuolo, and to be honest, Sassuolo could have won that match. Atalanta was down 10 men. I thought that was obviously a red card from Gollini. But even in the other match, I mean, against Bologna, they destroyed Bologna. But before they scored the first goal, Bologna had 3-4 clear chances. The match could have easily gone the other way. So the point I want to make is that there are 5 teams fighting for the Champions League. And probably now Lazio is the better team, or the team more in better shape, I would say. Is it too far, or do you agree?
I don't know. I still think Napoli and Atalanta have a bit better momentum. You have to kind of look closer at those games instead of at the result, I guess, because, like you say, Atalanta losing their goalkeeper to a red card after 20 minutes and still ending up with a draw is not a bad result, really, in the circumstances. And who knows what the result would have been if that hadn't happened. Whereas Napoli, hit the crossbar, had some good chances. Also, Cagliari did as well. But Cagliari are in great form themselves. That's not a team I don't think anyone will be wanting to play right now. And it took them until, the last kick of the game to equalise. So I think those two teams have still got a bit more momentum than Lazio. We saw Milan get a win again, but against a very poor Benevento side. They're, the worst team in the league at the moment, really, apart from Crotone. So the really important thing is that Juve and Milan are playing each other next weekend on Sunday night. And that obviously means that at least one of them, if not both of them, are guaranteed to drop points. So Lazio's game at Fiorentina, they're all massive games, but this really is a massive big game because Lazio are guaranteed to make up ground this weekend if they win that. It's huge.
Yeah, it's not an easy match, and Lazio have to win, knowing that Juventus Milan will play the day afterwards, so they don't know the result. But if they win, they put pressure on everybody. Unfortunately, Atalanta is playing Parma, so that should be easy 3 points. Same thing for Napoli, is playing Spezia. I don't think it's possible that they will lose some points. But so they
already lost to Spezia this season once.
Yeah, I think it was a different Napoli, but yeah, Spezia is not a bad team. They play good football, so yeah, I think next week Lazio have only to think about themselves. Lazio have to try to win all the match they have to play, and then see what happens, because it's useless to waste energy thinking about the other teams, right?
Yeah, and I think the current situation, in a strange way, kind of plays into Lazio's strengths a bit. I think this team is such a strange team mentally, and it's so based on confidence that I almost feel like I have more confidence in them when they're chasing rather than when they're defending, as in a league position. If Lazio were the team in fourth and they were trying to cling on to it, I feel like the nerves of that situation would get to them more than the situation we're currently in, where there's smiles on faces. That's something I'm loving to see. Alberto and Ciro are having a laugh about at the penalty, then the cameras on the bench when there's after the game has got to 4-3, the camera goes on the bench and you can see them all cracking up, or Milinkovic and Alberto together. It just seems like there's a really good mood in the camp at the moment. There's good momentum behind them. They know they're playing well. They're feeling confident because of that. That's good, because Fiorentina, they're not safe yet. They're 4 points ahead above the relegation zone still. So although they've got lots of league positions to fall to actually get relegated, they're not safe, and they will be under pressure. So Lazio are under a different kind of pressure, where I think if they finish top 6, which almost guaranteed to now, it's kind of like, it's not a disaster, right? I mean, it's not the objective, but it's not a disaster. So they're kind of just having a punt at this almost. The teams above them, all of them have more pressure on them to qualify for the Champions League than Lazio do, I'd say, considering the season expectations.
Yeah, well, think about Juventus and AC Milan, right? Juventus started the season to win the Scudetto, and now they're risking to not reach the Champions League. AC Milan was first in January. Now they're struggling to keep up. So obviously other teams are in bigger pressure. The problem is that, yes, looking at the calendar, the fixture of Napoli and Atalanta, they have, I wouldn't say easy matches, but definitely easier than the other team. Atalanta is playing Parma, then Benevento, then Genoa. So, then Milan. Yes, that's the only match where they really risk to drop points, but they need to lose 5 points. So I don't see it happening. But at least reaching the 5th position, that would be the goal for Lazio. Considering that anything can happen at the moment, right? Because Lazio is playing a great match. Acerbi will be back against Fiorentina. That will definitely help. So, yeah, I mean, Lazio just have to focus on themselves, try to win all the matches they have, and then see what happens, right?
As much as anything else, and I'm sorry to keep bringing it up, but there would just be such an enormous satisfaction of finishing ahead of Juventus this season of all seasons, after the Super League and everything else. It's almost like an added motivation for me as a fan. Just that proper kind of changing of the guards. I'll try and get to a couple of the questions we've had. One of them was Law and Talal saying, should Senad Lulic renew for another year after showing a lot of improvements in the last couple of games? Do you see that happening?
I hope not, to be honest with you. I love the player. He will always have a special place in my heart. But, even yesterday, one of the goals Lazio allowed was his fault. So he's definitely improving compared to 1 month ago. But I think Lazio need to move on. Now, the question is, will Lazio sign a good left winger this summer? This is one of the targets. I think, as we said often, we need 2 good central defender and a left wing. That's the top priority. Then comes everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing that he has seen off all the competition all these years. I mean, how many times have we thought we've seen a Lulic successor coming in? Lukaku, Dermisi, Faris. There's been so many over the years. Johnny, and he's still the starting left wing back at this stage. I agree. I think in order for Lazio to move on, not only from Lulic, but to try and kind of rejuvenate the team, bring the average age down a bit, and kind of look to the future, it's important to not be relying on someone of his age again next season. Like a player like Stefan Radu, I'm more than happy to have him in the squad next season, but I don't think Lazio should be looking to him as being your starting centre-back really at this stage. But
bring some competition there, I think. Radu is still worthy. He's, of the Senators, he's the only one who's been playing constantly this season. So I think... And well, yes. I think that the level is still there for Radu. He can still play at Champions League level. But, and this is why I want 2 good central defenders, is playing twice a week and especially if Lazio reach the Champions League twice a week at a high level, I don't think Rado has the energy to do it. We saw Leva when Lazio was playing twice a week. He struggled. Now that Lazio plays once a week, his performance have improved. So I think you need competition, good competition, obviously, for those positions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, on that kind of note, Joe Labillo said another game with 100%. Murici remains on the bench. It seems like Inzaghi doesn't trust him in defensive situations as well now. Does he really have a future at Lazio? I know it's only his first season, but still Inzaghi prefers a loan player over an owned player, which says a lot. I mean, yeah, we've done the Murici question a lot, but I think he makes a good point here. I think the key word there really is trust, and I don't think Inzaghi trusts him. And I think it's got to the stage of the season where it becomes clear who Inzaghi does and doesn't trust, because every game is so important, every situation is so important now, that we're not going to be seeing an awful lot of him. Whether or not that means he doesn't have a future is another question. I mean, I think he deserves a second season, in my opinion.
Definitely, and you see that it's a key moment of the season because Lulic is starting again. You know, that tells you when the season is on, right? When it's the key matches. When it's the key match, you know that Inzaghi will trust his players, and Lulic is the number one. So, but we know that one of the issue with Inzaghi is that if you're in the first year with Lazio, you have to prove it, and he doesn't offer you many chances. So it happened with Luis Alberto. Let's not forget about that. And now he's one of the Inzaghi boys. So maybe it will happen with Murici next year. Maybe next year Murici will become an Inzaghi boy. Talking about Inzaghi, Alistair, we will have to do a jingle because, again, updates about his contract. It looks like he was, rumors were as soon as Inzaghi gets back from COVID, he will sign the contract. And then yesterday, asked about it, he said, at the end of the season, we will talk with Lotito. So this is a completely new spin. So what's going on?
It goes even further back than that. It goes last summer. Over the summer, we'll find time to find a contract.
Yep.
The international break, we'll find time. The Christmas break, we'll find time. The other international break, we'll find time. He's got COVID when he's back now. Yeah. I mean, what did he say? He said something like Claudio Lotito's got a lot of personal matters to attend to. I mean, I hope they're all telling the truth here. They are all at least saying the same thing, Lotito, Tari, and Inzaghi. But yeah, I mean, it's next month. Next month his contract expires. So
yeah. Do you think it's related on the results Lazio will achieve this season, or do you think it has nothing to do with that?
Well, I do wonder if the terms will be related to that. I can't imagine that it's kind of the yes, no, do we keep him or not, depends on Champions League or Europa League. But I can imagine that Inzaghi might think, well, if I get Lazio into the Champions League for a second consecutive season, with the club having not been in it for 13 years, I'm in a position to say, look, you're giving me more than 0.5 million per year more when you're giving me this extension, or I'll find someone else who wants me. I don't think he would necessarily mean that, but it would increase his bargaining position.
Yeah. Do you think it's he's waiting to see what happens to Pirlo?
Well, I hope not. I mean, I'm sick of the Inzaghi to Juve rumours, so I kind of hope I think for the good of Italian football, I hope they keep Pirlo, to be honest.
Yeah.
One more question here. Christopher Thomas said, we're definitely putting the keep Correa, sell Correa chat to bed now, yeah? He's staying. Great time for him to hit form. Immobile starts scoring 2. Shame that Reina keeps shipping in goals. And where were we with this? I think it was... We were on sell Correa, then last week we were back to keep Correa. So yeah.
Well, the thing is, Alistair. Now I want a lot of money for Correa.
Yeah, so, that's what I was gonna say.
I mean, if someone comes with 60 million euros, well, we can talk about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the whole, I think our discussions around this have always been, have never been about wanting to sell him so much as the fact that if Lazio are going to need to sell players to sign players, he's one of the few who will really bring in good value, who you can maybe live without. And probably even more so now. I mean, if he
Yeah,
finishes the season in this form, Lazio can turn around and say, yeah, 50 million, please.
yeah. I mean, the discussion is not selling. Is now maybe 2 weeks ago he was worth 30. Now we are talking about 60 at least, right? So this is the point. So yeah, but this bring to I think the most important consideration. Lazio has four players that, when on form, can decide matches. Luis Alberto, Milinkovic Savic, Correa, e Immobile. I don't know if other teams has the same amount of these quality players. So, selling one of them, it's a risk. Obviously, it's going to give you a lot of money, but then you have to find the right replacement. So, that's the thing. Atalanta, it's a team playing great football, but probably hasn't got those type of quality players. While Inter instead rely on Lukaku, Eriksen, etc. So the question mark is, if Lazio sell one of these players, will it be still able to fight for the Champions League next year?
I guess it depends on who's brought in, doesn't it? I mean, that's the whole point. I don't think there is any point in selling anyone unless you have a plan in place to kind of build a better squad from the money you're getting. I mean, the thing is though that it's just such a difficult time for Lazio to be in this rebuilding position because nobody's got any money. So if Lazio are needing to sell to buy, no one's going to pay 50 million for Correa because no one's going to have 50 million to spend on anyone really this summer. And if they do, they're probably not going to spend that on Correa. So I mean, Lazio's, yeah, they're going to have to probably go bargain hunting a little bit, which is kind of what Tari likes doing. But as we've seen over the last couple of years, isn't necessarily been much of a success.
Yeah, it didn't work out in the last couple of years. Anyway, we have to focus on the Champions League race. We're going to talk about transfer market this summer. Plenty of time to do it. Alice, I think we can wrap it up here. Thanks everybody for listening. Remember, you can follow us on Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you want to support our channel, patreon.com/Lazio Lounge membership starts at $2 a month. And we'll be back after Fiorentina Lazio. Bye, everybody.